Hey Megan, how's it going?
Hi.
I
So
love
I
I love the
actually have
background.
that same microphone and I
No
just
way.
flew back from Connecticut. I live in Florida now and I flew back and I was like, where the fuck is this microphone? And I can't find it. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay on
Oh
this.
no, you're good. Yeah. No, I You're love it. loud and clear. I had to step up my podcast game.
Yeah.
I And I'm just a gamer nerd, so I got this,
Oh,
headset
okay.
on. Yeah. I feel
But they
like
sound so good though.
I got this mic and I feel like Chris still sounds better than me with his freaking headset.
They do.
It's
They sound good. Like if you don't care if you're having a little call center
There you
mic
go.
things.
The
Yeah.
call center vibes. You gonna sell something? All right, so I got a life insurance. No, I'm just kidding Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I
All
don't know
right.
why that's the first thing that came to my mind.
I know why.
Yeah.
Um, I think I don't know where G is. He must be like running a little behind, but we can start.
Yeah, let's get the show on the road.
Um, Megan, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners and watchers?
Sure.
I guess listeners,
Are we
viewers
going?
and listeners. Yeah.
Yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling.
We're
All
rolling.
right. All right. I'm Megan Henry. I am also known as the Savage Meglet. I'm a former professional athlete, so I have played sports my entire life. And I've also been a sports psychologist. I currently am a fitness and nutrition and mindset coach with a company called Superhuman. And yeah, I have a lot of titles. But most recently, I am a IFBB figure pro, a natural IFBB figure pro. So yeah, lots of titles to me.
And a veteran as well.
Yes, captain in the Army Reserve. Yeah.
Can I just say, writing out your intro for Instagram took me a while.
That's
I
a
had
good
to,
thing.
I had to go through all. I had Jessica send me a whole bunch of notes, and I had to put everything together. But I'm sure I
So
missed a lot out there.
Megan wearing a lot of like that's a lot of titles.
It
If if
is.
it if you could like introduce yourself with like what is your favorite title, I guess, or how would you introduce yourself to the world if they gave you like just one word?
Just one word. Well, so I would probably say the Savage Meglet, but I
I like
would
that.
say athlete. Athlete is the
Athlete.
one that most resonates with me. I feel like we are all given a gift or a purpose or a drive, like when we come to planet Earth, whatever your beliefs are on all that. I think that we have something we come here to do. And for me, that gift was to be an athlete. And so that's the one that resonates with me the most.
I love that. And I also heard or you mentioned that you were like a mental health advocate as far as, putting yourself not just as a coach, but in the mindset as well. How do you, not a lot of coaches do that, you know?
Yeah. So, I'll give like a really brief background. So I grew up being an athlete most of my life, and I played field hockey in college. I ran track in college. I joined the Army right after I graduated, and in that time, in the first year or two of being in the Army, I was recruited to go try bobsled. And I was too small. So I'm 5'2" and 120 pounds soaking wet. And so they told me to switch over to skeleton. So for people who don't know what skeleton is, it's like luge, but head first. It's on the same track as bobsled, one person laying on your belly on a sled going 85 miles an hour, and you experience 5 Gs of force. So, very extreme thing to do. And so, I in that time, so I had come mostly from field hockey, right? I did mostly team sports, and skeleton is one of those sports where if you're trying too hard, much like anything, right? If you try too hard, the thing that you want is very elusive. And so I was like, I'm training hard and I'm doing this and I'm trying to steer perfectly and execute everything perfectly. And yet I still was not reaching the targets that I wanted. My goal was to make an Olympic team, and it remained elusive. And so I got really into mindset. I was like, what I'm telling myself is not serving me, right? So like there's a common denominator here. It's me. And so I took a really big interest in mindset when I was an athlete, a skeleton athlete. And so it absolutely changed my life. One of the big things I got into was meditation. And I just was able to like call in and create a lot of things from that, from changing my mindset. And in particular, I used visualization and self talk, and I still use those things
Positive
to this
self-talk.
day.
Yeah.
And so those are like, you hear it and it sounds easy. It's easy to do. It's also easy to not do, right? But so it changed the trajectory of my career as a skeleton athlete. I battled back from some health issues that I'm sure you guys will end up asking me about, but and I rose to being number one in the US. I set two world records. I won a bronze medal. Like I did a lot of really great things that would have never happened had I not like stepped into the mindset portion. So I'm really passionate about that. And I went back to school. I got my master's in sports psychology, and I was doing that. But I also, like I said, athlete is something I really identify with, and so now I help people like, everyday people. So like just people who are not in bodybuilding, who are not in sport. I help a lot of those people with their fitness and nutrition while still helping athletes compete at the highest level and execute, because the truth is we're all high performance vehicles, right? We are all high performers in some capacity. And your mindset is your greatest asset, no matter what field you are in, whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, whomever. So that's how I got into mindset.
No,
I really
that's beautiful because I've always believed, the tongue is my like powerful, right? So we could talk ourselves out of things.
Definitely.
So hearing, I was watching your Instagram, just doing a little background on you. You said something in particular with like positive self-talk. Uh, And we're so used to like when we mess up or whatever, someone talking to us and that being the internal voice we hear. So like blocking out that extra noise and just listening to yourself saying, "Hey, I can do this. I'm a I'm gonna try. I'm gonna keep on trying until I hit a wall or whatever, and then try some more."
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
No, well, I mean, if you're not your own biggest hype person and biggest supporter, like who's going to be that for you, right?
Exactly.
At some point, and we obviously need those people in our life. We need our supporters, our family, our friends, significant others, to help us believe in ourselves when that voice of doubt creeps in. We definitely need that in our life. At the same time, there is a immense responsibility that we have to be a creator, to be able to take responsibility versus have like a victim mentality and be
Yes.
like, okay, why, whatever I'm experiencing in my life is a mirror. So, and where that comes from is really your thoughts, because your thoughts impact how you feel and the actions that you take and the reality you experience. And so, what I tell people is like, you got to talk to yourself more than you listen, because that negative voice is always going to be there. We have that negativity bias. That's a survival instinct. It's there. It's important. And so, being able to like develop the skill and recognize when you're being like overly critical and all of that, to just step back and have stuff prepared, because like
Yes.
you're going to have super emotional reactions to things going on in your life, particularly competitors, right? You're going to be comparing yourself to other people. So having stuff like lined up on what you like, preparing stuff to say to yourself is really important, because it dictates how you feel.
It's that victim or victor mentality.
Definitely.
have you
Yeah, I
noticed
like
like
that.
so bodybuilding is so unique though. Like
Mm.
I used to play professional lacrosse
Oh,
and
nice.
when I went to bodybuilding, one, I mean, they say it's a team sport and it is to an extent, but it's still very individual. Um, Not only that, but going into like the mind, the body follows the mind principle. Do you find that it's even more prevalent in bodybuilding because, in terms of like cortisol levels, getting your sleep, like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I was a high performer in lacrosse, but I'll be real. I mean, it wasn't a 24-hour a day job. I mean, it was definitely a
Right.
lot, but like how much water you're drinking, like, sure. I mean, they monitored that stuff with us, but it was not the same as bodybuilding where perhaps a negative mindset going through prep and into a show could actually impact how you look. Because we're not training for
Mm.
performance anymore, right? Like you and I used to be about performance, and now we're training for a certain look. So have you found that like it's even more applicable now in bodybuilding?
Definitely. I think even from like a self-esteem standpoint, it's really important, right? Just because it is so, or can be relatively subjective, right? Um, and I think that exactly like you said, what you are speaking about, thinking about impacts your physique. And if you're, because it's so easy, especially in the bodybuilding space, to compare yourself to other people, if you are constantly focusing on other people and the package that they're bringing to stage or what you're lacking and you're criticizing yourself because there's always going to be things that we can improve upon, right?
Yes.
That impacts how you even like receive food, right? It's very, very different from like a performance sport in that aspect that I just think because there's so much more room for that self-criticism that that like voice of negativity can get very high and the doubt can be very high of like, am I prepared? Did I do enough? And I definitely experienced that going into this last show as well, but you've got to like choose the position that I am ready, I am prepared, I'm bringing the best package because like just for me to share the me going into this last show. So I did the Pittsburgh Pro qualifier, the Natural Pro qualifier, and it was like a relatively last minute decision. I had last competed in November. And so I was like, I'm not competing for another year. I'm not going to go until Ben Weider. Like I was just like a little bit checked out because I had done like 4 shows from September to November. So I was like a little bit fried. My hormones were fried, like a lot of things going on there. And
Yeah.
so and I had transitioned, I had actually switched coaches. And he was like, I think that we should really consider entering this show. And I was like, just to get your mind to swap over, right? To be like, okay, I'm in prep now, was a little bit of a challenge. And so I had a significant doubts to be like, well, I didn't have a big off season. I didn't do this. And there's other people, like I knew some people that were going into this show or saw people on Instagram posting about it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But I just like stuck to some things that I did like when I was an athlete and things I coach athletes to do in terms of what I was visualizing, how I wanted to carry myself, the story that I was telling about how this event would take place. It's so significant on how my energy was going through the prep. Like you said, recovery, sleep, all of that. I spent a lot of time just being like, everything I'm eating is cultivating the best physique for my package for stage. So just like brainwashing yourself, it
You're
really,
watering
really,
your own plant at the end of the day.
yeah.
Like
So
literally.
that was a long-winded answer, but I do
Right.
think it is very, very significant in this sport because there's so much room for that self-doubt.
I remember Chris came up to me one time at the gym, and his girlfriend Nicole's doing wellness, and she's on our team above average. And I think Chris was sharing a bit about how Nicole is having a bit of, the typical prep mind games. And obviously, Chris being her boyfriend, she's not always gonna listen to what he's gonna say. Um, and the one thing I was thinking about, something that recently helped me was like changing your perspective or your mindset depending on the season, right? So like if you're in a bulk, stop trying to look in the mirror and look at yourself as a shredded athlete, right? Like
You
that's
gotta
not the
enjoy
goal,
the
right?
journey.
So
Yeah.
what should I look for instead? Well, fullness, shape, right? So I wasn't even, this was the first time I've been bodybuilding a little over 4 years now, and this is the first time that I was able to kind of do that. In previous bulks or preps, in the bulk, I would be like, well, I look like crap. I don't see any kind of muscle definition or anything. I'd be in prep and I'd be like, well, I feel small. I don't see any shape. And it does play a mind game. But if you get ahead of that and you're a little more proactive with what you're looking for and what you consider as a win or a loss, it can shift your perspective a little bit. I know that helped me in my recent bulk when I was eating 6,000 calories a day and I felt like a whale. But I just focus on I just want to see bigger delts. I just want to see bigger arm. I just, changing what I'm looking for. And I only just started thinking about my core again. Like I had completely forgotten about it for like 18 months.
I love that though. I love that shift of so like one phrase that if you are a client of mine or you've listened to me ever before, you've probably heard me say this, where attention goes, energy flows. And when you argue with reality, it creates so much suffering, right? So if you're like, I'm supposed to be bulking right now, but I want to be shredded. Like, well, the reality is I'm bulking. So if I'm going to suffer if I'm expecting to look in the mirror and be shredded. So I love that share and just being able to be really focusing on what I would call like non-scale victories. Being like, well, how is my performance? My energy is so much better because I actually have calories. My strength's improving. Like all of the things that are celebrating. I'm just really big on celebrating the wins and being really grateful for what your body can do for you
Yes.
because it's really easy to take that for granted, right? You wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you go about your day, and you forget about it. So to have like an intentional gratitude practice, especially when your mind is playing tricks on you like that, to be super appreciative and be like, well, what am I actually what do I actually love about my body? So I'll share this little exercise. So if people want to do it, if you're having a mentally challenging time, wherever you are in prep or your fitness journey, it's the 10-10-10 exercise. So 10 things I love about my body, 10 things I appreciate that my body does for me, and 10 ways that I bring value just for being who I am. And if you're like really struggling to be like, these are the 10 things, and it could be like, I love my hair color, I love my eyes, my smile lights up a room, whatever it is. The things that are like you absolutely love to pour energy into those things can really, really help, especially if you're feeling like a little bit meh when
Yeah.
you're in your
Well, it's
bulk.
pretty similar to about looking for positive or proactively looking for the things that you know you're supposed to be focusing on.
Mm.
And, off season, forget about your abs and prep.
Yeah.
Forget about fullness. I know one of the famous big time coaches shared on Instagram something about how athletes are always trying to chase that fullness in prep. Gee, I think you shared it from a different coach or something, how they're always like they can't accept the flat stage of prep,
Mm.
and you can't lose muscle or sorry, body fat if you're constantly full. Um, I also think though it's also on the coaches to be a bit better about explaining this to athletes because a lot of coaches talk about fullness all the freaking time. So of course a lot of the athletes, especially newer athletes, are going to think like, well, if I don't look full, I'm not looking good, I'm not on track. So G's actually our coach. So
Okay.
gee, I figure this might be a perfect
How
time
are
to
you, Megan?
I'm good. Thank you.
segue you in and just give your thoughts on your process of well, one, dealing with athletes that get in their own head in prep, and then what you're looking for with your coach's eye, because obviously you're not dealing with the inner struggles, the mental battles of the athlete, because you're the coach.
Right. I mean, it's just relating to the athlete and hearing their day-to-day thoughts and experiences, and being able to also maneuver and adjust accordingly. Because everybody is going to be different. Everybody's going to have a different type of day. You know what I mean? You can't. No, nothing is written in stone. Things are going to change always and constantly. So it's kind of just being I would say relatable and being able to adapt also, not being fixated on a one way kind of
Mm.
thinking, and being able to open up with your athlete and having them open up to you, and
Providing that safe space.
let them be vulnerable, let them communicate, and that's where you're going to learn the most, and you're going to understand the most from them, and what you can expect from them, going forward, and how you can also improve them mentally and physically. And everything is a learning process, especially with beginner athletes. You can't expect them to get it all on the first year of competing or the second year, or even your lifestyle clients. Everything is a journey, and everything is to be learned and experienced, because I've had to experience a lot, and I've been working out since I was 15 years old, and I'm 29 years old now. I'll be 30 this year. and still things are constantly changing for me. Like I'm still learning till this day, and I kind of just pick things in and out from I may see Alex do something, I may see Chris do something, I may see another person at the gym do something, or another coach, and I take it from it and I learn from it, and I see, okay, this is good, or how can we make this better? And it's just being able to grow yourself also as you
Yeah.
grow the other individuals. So that's the blessing, and that's what I like to take away from it.
As much as self-talk's important, I believe having, the right coach is important as well because they
Definitely.
they could really make or break your whole prep, right? I've been with coaches that will, speak the opposite of life to me. And then, being around people like G and Alex, where they're actively like, okay, Chris, change your position here with your pose with the hand right there. It's very reassuring and it smooths out the process because I'm relatively newer to bodybuilding. So like it was a whole learning process for myself.
Definitely. The coach athlete relationship is really important because the coach is like, no matter what, even if you are, you know, Mr. Olympia or Miss Olympia, right? You still have a coach, and the coach in your mind has authority. I'm putting that in quotes because like you're hiring them or you use them for their perspective, their expertise, their support. And so if they are in any way putting doubt into your mind or in any way like talking down to you or anything like that, it can really like you can take an athlete with the most potential, the like the best physique and all of that, and it will not show up, right? You can absolutely even in like lacrosse, for example, with Alex, if you have a coach who makes you doubt yourself, just because it just takes those little seeds, and so you can
Right.
have a seed that's
You
planting
said
that
it, the
doubt,
seed,
or a seed that is planting like, oh well, I believe in you.
life.
So like my coach, for example, was like, I think you should enter this show, and I was like, really? you know but because he had put that seed, I was like, okay. And I had to let it marinate and switch my mind over to prep mode, but I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like if he sees something in me, then I'm gonna put my faith in that. And that's why that relationship, that rapport is really important, because as a coach you also want your athlete to have that buy-in versus doubt everything that you're saying and doing, right? You want to be like, trust the process, listen to me, like let's go, we're a team. Right?
It's
So
so
yeah.
interesting. It's interesting you said that because I think back to lacrosse and I noticed that I was way more nervous earlier on in my career when, let's say, I wasn't getting as much playing time and you get put in at the end of the game. My high school was the number one high school in the country, so like everyone on the roster was going to college. So
Yeah.
it was like so it was interesting because um, I got more time like junior senior year, and then once I got to college and I had to be the guy. I realized that getting put into the game when my team needed me or the coach was like putting me on the field to get something done, I actually felt less stressed that way. And I know that depends on the athlete too. Some athletes don't respond as well to that. Um, but that was just something I noticed interesting because I was like, well, why was I so much more nervous when that it really didn't mean as much or the game wasn't on the line? I actually felt more comfortable because it's more about, okay, well, they expect me to do something that's necessary or they need me. I felt that was actually more so. I guess it's a mindset shift again. Like I for me now on a team, I'm not just thinking about myself going on stage for myself. I'm like, I need to now represent G as a coach, and
Yeah.
Chris is a teammate, and it is bigger than me. So maybe it's a lesson on just like I think athletes, everything we were all talking about right now is a bit of like self-reflection and taking a step back and actually really thinking about what makes you nervous, what makes you tick, and because everyone's different, that's okay. It's just I think some people don't even like think about it, and then they realize
Yeah.
it way too late.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, I'm representing something bigger than me, and
Yeah.
I would say for anybody listening to like really identify your why, and it could be the team, it could be the community aspect. I think for me personally, my why is one, to be able to like utilize my gifts, whatever those are, strength, speed. Now it's bodybuilding, and those gifts can transform, right? But
I feel like my purpose is to do that to inspire other people. And I think, again, like we all come here to share a gift for a certain reason, and you just never know the ripple effect that has on whomever's watching. And but if you can share it with like a team and be able to be like, yeah, I'm really proud to represent my coach and be on stage, that's massive. So I love that.
What, so your team now, or I know you have a new coach.
Mhm.
Um, are there a lot of athletes on the team? Do you connect with them?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So it's Pro Physiques and they are in Arizona. So
I've heard of them. I think I've heard of
my
them.
yeah, my so it's interesting because there's like five Pro Physique teams, but
Probably.
this one is Damien is my coach and based out of Arizona. So they have athletes everywhere, but it's interesting because I went to this show and this was the first time that I met him in person, actually. And I'm like connected on Instagram with my teammates, but I don't know them. I don't train with them. Like I train solo. I've trained solo for a couple of years now. And so that's really interesting because there's still a team dynamic. Obviously, it would be way stronger if it was in person. So I think that's another unique aspect that coaches now have to navigate is like I've got remote athletes that I still have to like prioritize. I still get to prioritize in the same way as my in-person athletes. And like, how do I bring the success out of this person without having that daily interaction with them, face-to-face interaction? So yeah, it's a little bit different.
I think knowing your coaching style too is very important because not a lot of people could just do an online,
Yeah,
coach because you gotta be really accountable.
definitely.
Like G sees me every day, so if I eat an Oreo, he's gonna be like, hey
I could
Chris,
tell.
I see the Oreo right
It's
there
right
in your
there.
left oblique. Yeah, like literally right there.
In the oblique, it's right there. You got that Oreo dust on your beard, man. You gotta wipe
Like,
it
oh
up.
man, shoot.
Yeah.
Well,
But
go ahead,
go
Chris.
ahead,
Sorry.
Alex. No,
No,
you're fine, you're
no,
fine.
I was just gonna say it's interesting how Instagram it has helped that connection a little bit, and it's funny
Hmm.
because I've made so many, I would say, friendships through social media, and a lot of them I haven't even met yet, but a lot of them are more supportive than people I've known for a long time in
Yeah,
person. Um, so it is interesting just the age we're in, and also just the unique community that bodybuilding is.
definitely.
I know CrossFit had something similar, right? Um, I mean, people go to a church, right? They're gonna have connection. It's all about finding what you're really passionate about, and usually passion breeds passion. And when it matches and you're passionate about the same thing, usually you're gonna find your people.
Yeah, that shared community, shared purpose.
I,
Totally. Love
I do
it.
want to get a quick break just to quickly plug our sponsor, Wolfpack. This podcast is brought to you by Wolfpack. We align with their mindset
Hello.
and of never average, always a wolf. Use code LIFTED at checkout and make your mark. Um, Megan, I am so intrigued by skeleton. Like, when I watch the Olympics, it's one of the things I enjoy watching more than anything. And that's one thing I love about the Olympics is that, like curling or these sports that you would never really
Yeah,
focus on.
Do
I
we have
I
any
wa-
highlights? Can we put up a highlight?
um I will find some in the background. Um,
I'll try
but
and do it as well.
what was the mindset of going head first at 80 plus miles per hour on ice? I don't even have a question. I just want you to talk about it.
Okay, so I was recruited to do it, and so I have always been a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, and I was also drawn to the potential of being able to compete at the Olympics, right? I'm like, sweet. I played sports in college. I thought my athletic career was over, so it was really, really interesting to me, and so. Skeleton is very interesting in that you can only do it in the wintertime. You can only do it for 6 months out of the year. And you get only 3 training days of 2 training runs each. So 6 practice runs before a race, before you're expected to be world class and an expert on a track. And so that is where a lot of visualization came in and self-talk to be like, I'm shitting my pants, but I believe I can do well. So I do have
Did
a,
you like the
What is the
Daft Punk
sport though?
song,
Is it
by the
like
way?
skiing?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Rugby.
No, I was
Rugby.
gonna say, is it like skiing
So
or are you on the platform?
it's like luge, but head first. So you're on the same track as bobsled. And so
Okay.
there's a running start. So you start running bent over. It's very not intuitive. It's not a natural movement.
On
And
running
you have
on like skis though,
on ice,
or
on ice. So
On
your
like
ice.
shoes
bare?
are like they have a bunch of little spikes on them. So almost like
Okay.
track
Okay,
spikes, but with
okay,
like hundreds of little needles on them so that you can run
Okay.
on ice.
okay.
And so you run as fast as you can, sprint to full speed, load onto a sled on your stomach head first, and you then have to, it's like very much controlled chaos after that. So it's very adrenaline driven, right? At the same time, you have to be really calm and able to like let go of mistakes when they happen. So it is you can't really see that great. Your chin is inches off of the ice. There's 5 G's of force, so it's push. Imagine that pushing your face into the ice in the corners, and so you're navigating. It's very fine steering just with your shoulders and your knees and sometimes even just like glancing with your eyes. It's very minor stuff, but races are won and lost by hundredths of seconds. So you can imagine where a lot of doubt can creep in there as well to be like, well, were my like shoelaces dragging on the ground? Just, oh, hey, that's me. So, really interesting sport to transition to. I did also run track.
You
So,
can see the spikes, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
yeah. So this is at one of my favorite tracks. So I won a bronze medal here. So I was very light at the time. So I know things in kilos because that's what Olympic sports are. Everything's in kilos. So in this race, so my sled was 37 kilos, 38 kilos. I weighed about 55. I was like 58 kilos with my stuff on. So I was the smallest woman in the world competing at the time. And I was pushing the heaviest sled. So I had to push a sled as fast as I could, get up to speed. And it's a gravity-based sport. So there's no brakes or anything. You just are
I'm
going
sure
as
that
fast
plays
as
to
you
your
can.
advantage though. Like even like probably the take like getting there, but the takeoff played to your advantage as far as like you being lighter and the sled being heavier, so you had more force going down.
Somewhat. So I was outweighed by everybody. So, like I said, it's a gravity sport. So that
Okay.
was like my weight was to my disadvantage. I was strong enough and fast enough to be able to push a sled and be one of the fastest pushers in the world.
Boom.
I think even having, if you're like really heavy and your sled is so light, right? If you have no resistance there, then it's really challenging to push something fast. Like if you think about pushing a car and you at least have something to push against, right? And so I do agree with you there that the heavy sled was easier to push against. Um, but it was not fun to carry around because it was,
I'm
most of my
surprised
body
it's
weight.
that heavy, actually.
Mine was, not everybody's is,
Uh,
but
yeah,
there's like weight rules and everything. But yeah. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but you wanted to hear about skeletons. So
I did.
Yeah.
No,
I was curious about actually the your natural is figure, right?
yes.
Natural pro card figure.
Yes.
How long was that journey?
So I started training. So I retired from skeleton in 2022, and then I transitioned over to Olympic weightlifting. I won a Masters national championship in Olympic weightlifting. I had dropped 2 weight classes to do that, which was nuts. And then I was like, cool, I want to do something else. I had always been drawn to the bodybuilding space, but I was always training for performance, so I could never train for aesthetics.
Right,
And
right.
so I was like, I think that's going to be the next thing that I'm going to get into. And I originally got into it really to just hone in on my diet because I was having some like gut issues. And I went to Mexico. I got a parasite. I was like dealing with all of these gut problems. And so
So
my
is it
original,
Mexico? I don't know why. Everybody always
I know,
gets something in
I
Mexico.
don't know. Just be careful with what you choose to eat and drink there. Um, so my original coach was a bodybuilding coach, but we focused on a lot of like
really clean eating, obviously. And so, and I just was like, I just want to get back into some sort of training. I like being an athlete. I like following a program. And so I'm like, I want to get my physique looking better because I've dropped so much weight for that lifting comp. And so it was in the back of my mind that I would eventually compete. This coach, again, was planting the seed, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to compete one day. And I was like, nah, 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 we'll see. So I've been training that's like bodybuilding style for like 2 years, I would say, maybe
That's
longer.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And
A
then,
natural pro after 2 years is crazy. You don't see that a lot.
And what was your first
yeah,
show?
I just won in Pittsburgh at the Natural Pro Qualifier. And I would say I'm like it's
That
probably
was your
about
first
2 years.
show?
Oh no, no, sorry. September was my first show.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
we met in the Caribbean, right? November. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
I competed from September to November. I did 4 shows last
Nice.
season. And um yeah, so I knew that I this was like so I had this vision, right? When I started to compete, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a natural pro. So I've just been an athlete for my whole life. I love having goals. I love having something to strive for. Lifetime natural because I've been drug tested since 2009, and I've been in the army. I have literally hundreds of drug tests.
And how's that experience though, as far as like when you got into your coach? Did you tell them at first like, hey, I want to compete naturally? And like
Yes.
what was maybe you can give us some insight of like what were some of their protocols, maybe like some supplements they may have told you, hey, like this would be good, natural things to help women out.
Hmm. I would say that's a good question. I don't remember specifically if they had anything that's out of the ordinary, right? Like
Right, right.
obviously we're going to be taking creatine, we're going to take protein.
Or maybe something different than that you had not tried yet or heard of, maybe food wise, or I don't know, cardio supplements.
Um, so I will say I have changed my mindset on cardio significantly
Okay.
from my first competitive season. And for me personally, it was such a stressor for my body. I lost so much muscle doing that so now like most of my cardio comes from like incline walking, things like that, not like
High
elliptical
intensity.
zone two. Yeah,
Right.
right, right. So just so I can like try and maintain a bit more muscle, but also for my recovery because I was so depleted, like the brain fog and hormone issues that I had was it was very unpleasant. Like I know a lot of females experience that, but I just was like, we can definitely mitigate this and still have fat loss, still have conditioning without being like operating in extremes. So, but I will say, I think some of the supplements like for women would be more hormone related, like
Mhm.
DIM. DIM is a really good one.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Ashwagandha,
Mhm.
myo-inositol. I don't know if that's how you say it, but like just some things like that are really more for female in terms of hormone health and yeah. But I mean, there was the first time that I've really been like diligent about blood work as well as um,
Because
even
that'll
just
point out any deficiencies is blood work. You may not know
yeah,
like internally what's going on.
yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what can happen in a prep too, because it like your blood work looks wild at the end of it. You're like,
And how did you
am I
fix your
healthy?
how did you fix your gut issues?
It was all like low FODMAP foods. So I don't FODMAP stands for something really long that I can't pronounce. It basically is like anything that promotes like gas bloating and all of that. So it was just very, very clean, very redundant eating, very much
Food
like bodybuilding
oxidative.
is.
Sounds
Like
like
low
food oxidative.
inflammation.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
low inflammation, low glycemic maybe type food.
yeah. No processed stuff. It was super, super clean. Like now I can eat like more, more fun things now that I'm out of
Oreos.
prep. More Oreos.
You got
Every
you got you
every
got
Um, Yeah, that's a good question. Now I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what they told me.
I mean that I'm pretty sure there's a lot of supplements and every coach is different.
Different.
Yeah,
But them I've heard of th those are some good ones.
yeah.
Now talking because you mentioned recovery. How does recovery look for you, especially performing at different levels of sports and all this stuff? Like what's a recovery day look like for you?
I know, it's so interesting. Like bodybuilding is so different from like Alex. I know you're familiar with what I used to do before. So now, so I actually just got an infrared sauna in my apartment. I have a one bedroom apartment.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
But it's so cute. It's a one person little infrared sauna. But so I'm really big on sleep. So I sleep in a totally dark black room. I have blackout curtains, keep the room cool, like all of the things that are going to make me sleep well. Hydration is super important. Like, I'm saying the most boring shit that everybody knows, but it really is important.
The
Yeah,
stuff
but
that
if
everybody
anyone's gonna
forgot.
listen, they better listen to an Olympian, right? That I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. But I would say like because bodybuilders, we got to fund this dream somehow. So most people are working; they mostly
yeah.
have careers, right? And so to be able to have a disconnect, to be able to separate like that work from this is training to this is my personal life, and have that space to down regulate. Like self care is really important, whatever that looks like for you. But definitely, body work is so important. Having like digital detox, stuff like that to help you down regulate, because it's like dieting is controlled starvation really, and it is stressful on the body on top of the training, super intense training, very and repetitive training, right? So for me, a lot of it is my morning routine consists of meditation and mindfulness, because that helps me go into my like working day, right? But I train in the morning. I prefer hard things first, so I'm a morning workout person. But then even like being able to set boundaries for like when I'm going to shut my phone off, when I'm going to be finished eating. I need to like down regulate and promote good sleep, all of that. So, but things I love for recovery: massage, sauna, going to the beach. I live in Florida now, so go to the beach, be in the sun, just time off of a device. Like all of that, I think is really good for recovery. Getting my hair did, nails did, everything did.
There you go.
It's so hard though in today's age when you're trying to promote businesses and social media, obviously such a tool. Even with the podcast, the amount of time that I have to be on my phone is it's now required, right? But especially when you get sponsors or you have to promote brands, it can be really tiring.
Definitely.
And sometimes I can't imagine some of these Olympians that are literally traveling every other week. I have to hand it to them. Although I know it does help when you have like enough companies that sponsor your meals and you have things sent to you, but still, like that's a lot. I just went to Georgetown, DC for my sister's graduation, and I was like 3 days, 4 days of trying to find foods to fit my meal plan and getting to sleep and just like the you never feel so much like an alien as when you're put it back into like a normal society. Because like here in Florida, I'm surrounded by my bodybuilding friends and my bodybuilding gym. I work remotely from home, right? And then I go to a place where there's not a single bodybuilder in sight, and I feel like literally like a complete alien. And I just remember, oh my God, like I've been walking all day. Like I need to get my body down. I need to relax. I need to get off my feet. And then in my head, I'm like, wait a minute, you train like a savage for all this time and then you can't walk, 20,000 steps uphill. And it's not that you can't do it. It's just, it's out of your norm. And we get so used to our routines and the repetitive nature. And then your body gets thrown out of whack. And then I'm wearing a tuxedo and I'm like, this isn't a tank top. But getting back to the original point, it is hard to detox nowadays. And um, how do you? So I'm assuming you said you set boundaries. Like, are you just really good about explaining to your friends, like, hey, just like I don't text you back after this time. Don't take it personally. Like, are people pretty understanding
And
of
have you
your
always
goals?
been
Yeah.
like this? Or did this take
Yeah.
time to develop like these skills as far as like, everything
Boundaries.
you've been? speaking about?
So I would say I started it for sure when I was doing skeleton, when I was competing. I would be like, I don't look at my phone after this time. And then I was doing sports psychology on my own prior to like fitness and nutrition coaching now. And same thing. I was like, but I tell my clients now that to do the same sort of thing. So everything I say, like I am incorporating into my life. And it's really challenging. Like there's definitely times where I've like scrolled on my phone when I'm laying in bed. I purposely charge my phone outside of my room. And I just really preach like what I want people to do is to know that number one, your phone is a tool for you, not for the people trying to get a hold of you. It's a tool for you. It's you at your convenience. And if you manage expectations and you set the boundaries, like, hey, I use WhatsApp Business. I do a lot of conversations over WhatsApp, and you can set like away messages and things like that. And I said like I don't check my messages after this time. So like, hey, just so you know, or even in my emails and stuff like that, I tell people I don't respond after this time. And it makes it, especially if you're coaching or you're like you said, we've got podcast sponsors, we've got clients, people that we're answering to. If you can manage that expectation, it's you put yourself back into a position of power and to be able to be like, this is how it is. Like I am the MVP here, so this is how it goes. And I will not go to stuff that I like. If I go out and socialize, I will do the Irish goodbye and leave. If I'm like, hey, this is getting too late for me, I want to go to bed. I need this many hours of sleep. I don't feel bad about it. I'm unapologetic. Like this is how I operate. I'm gonna bring my scale out to the restaurant. Like I don't care. It's
You
just
set a
I just
standard for yourself.
yeah,
You don't
yeah.
bring yourself down to other people's standards.
But I tell like, I think
Yeah,
the most powerful move is that if you manage those expectations, then like what are people going to do? They can't argue
right.
with that, right?
Well,
So yeah.
So how do you deal with the perception of bodybuilding from the outside world, like, whether it's friends who not necessarily judge you, but don't understand why you have your scale at dinner or why you're not drinking that night or why you're doing an Irish goodbye. Like, we've all dealt with these situations. How do you deal with that?
It's so interesting because like there are very some of them are accurate perspectives of the bodybuilding community, right? But they're really interesting ones. So I think when I first got into this, people were like, "What?" Because I would say I am a extroverted introvert, and I've always had discipline, right? I've always been a high performer. I've wanted to excel in whatever I pursue. I don't think that my family and friends necessarily saw this coming. So, yeah. So, sorry, restate your question. Like, how did I
I would
manage
say,
that with my
yeah.
friends?
What are some of the conversations you've had to have with your family or friends in terms of, setting these boundaries? I mean, I just give you an example. Like, when I first started bodybuilding, my family didn't really understand it. Wasn't necessarily that they weren't supportive. It was more of like, if I was home, my mom's cooking dinners, and I'm asking her what the ingredients are, and she's like annoyed that I'm asking for all these ingredients, but I'm trying not to be annoying. It's like, hey, like. I'm in my off season. I can eat this. I just have to know what's in it so I can track it. It's not a big deal. And then I have to work backwards. What are we having at dinner tonight? So I can plan the meals beforehand, right? And now, like 5 years later, they don't even bother now. Like she'll even tell me ahead of time, or it's actually pretty easy. And then we go to lunches, and I'm not eating anything, and my dad will say sometimes, so like, well, this is green, it's healthy, you can have this. It's like, no, it's not how bodybuilding works. Like everything is calculated, it's a science. So that's just an example of like some of the conversations I've had to have. I'm sure you've had something similar.
Yeah. You know what? I just started doing it. So my family did not even know that I was training for a show last year. Until I went and competed and won my show, and then I told people, which is not what I would typically do. But I like operate in silence sometimes, and so but I was like, this is just what I'm doing. I'm measuring my food now, and this is how it is. So
Like
Yeah.
you can take it or leave it. I don't care. But people definitely looked at me sideways, like, what are you doing? Um, but I think once I just did it and didn't care that then people stopped asking questions about it. They were just like, this is just what Megan does. She brings her scale out everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I can totally relate. Like the odd, it's just not, it's not normal, right?
Yeah.
It's not the norm. It's our norm.
But like I said before, right, I didn't even realize how not normal it is until I'm in the outside world. I'm like,
Right.
oh wow. And I start to overthink everything I normally do on a daily basis. And I'm like, wow, none of this is normal.
Yeah. I actually went out to a sushi restaurant, or Korean restaurant the other day, and I had my scale with me because I'm reversing out, right? So I'm like, you still got to be diligent when you're
Yeah.
reversing. So I had the scale there, and the waiter was like, I don't know, he made a comment about it and he joked about it, and I just was like, oh yeah, and then I also sell drugs. So I was like, oh, okay. 'Cause he's like, oh, you weigh your food? Are you like a bodybuilder or something? And I was like, yeah, and I also sell drugs, which I don't, obviously, but
Send them in, boys.
yeah, yeah. I just carry the scale around. And I surprisingly, I travel a lot and I have never been asked, despite having powdered supplements and a scale in my carry-ons, that I've never been asked about it. So,
Damn,
It's
that's
it,
TSA if you're listening. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding around.
my next flight is
What you said something interesting at the beginning of the podcast, like sometimes the more you hold on too tight to something or you try
Mm,
too hard, it immediately becomes harder. And now, that we're all a little bit more seasoned and we can relax a little bit, it just becomes a little bit easier. Or I remember at the lunch the other day, I simply told the waiter because he'd asked me like several times what I'm having. I'm like, I bodybuild, man. I'm training for. I'm in prep. I can't. And it turned out that he had just watched this bodybuilding movie we just
ah,
watched, Magazine Dreams, and he was like so interested about bodybuilding because if I hadn't shared that with him, we wouldn't have had the conversation. He ended up
yeah,
going to the chef. He had the chef cook me chicken without any oil, plain everything like, and it led to all this. So sometimes being open and just like being shameless about what you're passionate about will pull out passion
yeah.
in others as well. So,
I love that. Very cool.
have you
Yeah,
seen that movie by the way?
that was
Have you seen
I
that
beautiful.
movie yet?
haven't. I haven't.
So if you
I'm
do,
gonna have to go
G,
watch
G,
it.
G, hold on, G. walked out. Okay, so
So,
I will say it's the most mentally, uh, Chris, let me help you with this. The most emotionally charged movie I think I've ever
Okay.
seen.
It's
And
one of those movies
yeah,
that induce anxiety into you because I mean,
Oh,
although I don't feel like it portrays every bodybuilder, I do feel like there's some of us, and not just in bodybuilding, but in life, that go through this, mindset. And I don't want to give away the movie or anything, but it's twisted. It
it's if you don't think about it body, think of it more like a mental health movie than a
okay,
bodybuilding
yeah.
movie. I think G's concern, which I completely agree with, is that it does showcase bodybuilding in much of its negative light.
Mm.
Um, and there's not that many bodybuilding movies out there, so for the first bodybuilding movie to get that much attention since Pumping Iron, it's kind of like, oh
Right.
damn, like it's a
yeah.
shame.
And they had like Mr. Olympia's in there, so it's just like for me, it
It,
was like they could have just done a better storyline, like more because bodybuilding's already looked at it in a negative way,
Yeah.
So it's like, why not try
yeah.
to invite people instead of like showing this message? But hey, not my cup of tea, but for other people, maybe.
Oh man. Well,
But you being on the
I'll
mental
watch
health
and give
side, you
you.
you being so into mental health, I think it would be really interesting to get your thoughts on it. You'll have to text us after and let us
Yeah,
know what you think.
I'm gonna have to. I'll be the
The review.
Yeah.
tiebreaker potentially.
It actually, I appreciated it more the next day when I really thought about it. To be honest with you, like I had a bit of what G was thinking about during it. Um, but yeah, the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, that I mean, what is a mo movie or book supposed to do? It's supposed to evoke emotion, right? And it definitely did that, for sure. I just wish it was not publicized so much as a bodybuilding movie. That's all. Hell
Oh
of an
I
acting
man.
job
get it,
though.
yeah, because when they were marketing it, it was like bodybuilding, bodybuilding,
Yeah.
bodybuilding, and
Yeah.
then when you watch it, it's kind of like a Psychological,
it's a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck on
Yeah,
TV.
yeah.
Well, now I'm really intrigued, so I'm gonna have to watch it. So.
Well, Megan, feel free to share what you want to, but I want to dive a bit into, your health challenges and what that entailed and what it took to bounce back and have all the success you've had since.
For sure. So I had what's called pulmonary embolism, so blood clots in the lungs, and I got it from a birth control. It was the NuvaRing, and it was very scary. This was actually in 2012, so it's been some time. And I was doing skeleton. I was going towards like the 2014 Olympic Games, and I was sidelined for a year. And when I started taking this birth control, and within 10 days, I started to have difficulty breathing. And I think had I not been a high level athlete, I would have just really written it off, just been like, I'm probably sick or something, which I did do. I was like, oh, maybe I'm sick. My teammate had mono, I started like coming up with like reasons why I would feel this way. But it got so bad. I had to do a combine test. So if you think about like the NFL combine, I had to do a bunch of sprints. I had to do max power clean, 3 rep max back squat. I had to do all these things. And I could not jog a lap because could not catch my breath. I was having such a difficult time breathing. So I somehow made it through this combine test. I had the highest combine score, which is mind blowing. Like I still haven't lifted as heavy as I did in my back squat since then. And and then I left. I was like, I gotta go. And I went to the urgent care. I was like, something is really wrong with me. And at the time, the person was like, oh, you might just need like an inhaler. And I was like, no, no, no. I started this birth control because I was at the same time, I'm like, I eat the same, I train the same, I wake up, I do this, I take the same supplements. The only thing that's changed is I started this birth control. And it took 5 doctors. I had to see 5 different doctors. I had flown across the country, which, if you know anything about blood clots, is super dangerous.
Yes.
Um, and I finally went to a pulmonologist, and he was like, "You've got to go to the hospital right now. Like, this is so, so dangerous." And because it could have been, it could have been catastrophic. It could have been a stroke. It could have caused a heart
Yeah,
attack.
yeah.
It was
That
just,
that blood the clot pops it,
yeah.
that's how my niece's dad passed away. He had
Oh,
a
really?
blood clot in the lung, and then it just creeped up, and
Yeah.
they found him in the car. And it's a silent killer because, like you said, if you weren't a high level athlete where you get all
Yeah.
these tests and stuff, then it would have,
So
yeah, never, popped
when
up.
timeline, when was this?
In 2012. So
2012.
it was in September of 2012. And so I actually went to the hospital. I was hospitalized on September 11th of 2012. So it's
Wow.
easy for me to remember that day. And the skeleton season usually is like starts in October. So I was like just about to go into the year before the Olympic season. And my trajectory at the time was really, really nice. And then, like I was sidelined for a year. And so it was very, very scary because obviously it was life-threatening. I started to just like question everything. And that also propelled me to be like really diligent about the things that I put into my body. And so I really don't take that many supplements. I'm like pretty minimal in the things that I do take. And unless something's like wildly wrong, I really don't take prescription medication. I try to do like everything as natural as possible. And I'm really, really passionate about that because I think that um, the body does have the ability to heal itself if given the tools, right? If given good nutrients, if given good sleep, your body can do a lot of really incredible things. And the mindset is really part of that as well. And
Right.
so I really started to get into like the meditation and all of that in that recovery from blood clots. And it did. It took me a long time. I was out for a year. And so when I first came back, like I was ranked in like the top 5 in the country when I first had that happen. And I came back and I was outside of the top 10. And mentally, to be like, oh my gosh, I've got
That's
so much to
devastating.
do. It was just
Yeah.
like, I was like just right outside of, Olympic team reach. And so it was very, very mental to come back from that. Um, but it taught me a lot about myself in terms of resiliency and like really helped birth my passion even more so into mindset and uh, the identity that you have, right? If you are not identifying as like the champion, it's very hard, like I said before, to have that come to fruition. And I think for whatever it is that you want to pursue in life, and at the time for me, it was to heal. So like they were telling me, the doctors were like, you may never be an athlete ever again. This was really a really significant episode. It's super dangerous, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, nope. I just was like, that is not the story that I'm going to tell. And I was like, I'm going to heal. I'm going to recover. And I just put my sights on, like, I am going to do skeleton again. It may not be in the exact timeline that I want, but I am going to compete for the United States. I am going to do that. And that's where I put all of my attention and my energy. And it's really challenging because I'm sure everybody can relate to this, right? You're trying to hold on to a vision and your reality is not reflecting that. So I was training 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And then all of a sudden, I was in and out of doctor's offices 5 times a week. I'm sitting around with like geriatric patients, it
Yeah.
was very, very bizarre. And so to be like, yes, I'm a high level athlete when I got released from the hospital and I was allowed to walk for 10 minutes a day. So it was like very distinct
Yeah.
contrast, right? So to be able to be like, nope, this is the reality. I am rejecting that. My reality is this is really, really challenging. And so I would just encourage anybody listening that whatever goal that you have that you are working towards, even though your reality says different, just like persist, 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 hold on to that vision because eventually, at some point, your reality is going to catch up with the belief that you are holding. And so, yeah, so that's what like
Amen.
sparked my mindset journey.
There's
I
three
think
people that can, sorry, Chris, there's three people that can halt your progress. Your coach, your
Mm,
partner, and your doctor. So what I mean by that is there are more bad doctors than not. And what I mean is not necessarily they don't know their stuff or did their studies, but this is why I exclusively work with doctors who work with athletes because
mm,
I it's a completely different way of treating the patient. Um, I have a pretty bad back with scoliosis herniated discs. Back in 20, I want to say 2015, I was told I should only swim. I should never run again, lift again, nothing. Just swim for the rest of my life. And I literally looked at the doctor so puzzled and I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, why do you need to lift weights?" And at that time, that's when it really clicked to me. I was like, this is not a doctor. Like, this is literally just
right.
someone that went to school, got a degree in, and it's like a bodybuilding coach who doesn't really know anything about the mental aspect of an athlete or anything. So I then went on to make the England national team and played lacrosse for them and won the European Championship, and now I'm
Nice.
bodybuilding. But that being said, I will have to get back surgery at the end of the year. But at that, it's well worth it because now with the surgeries they have, and I found the best surgeons, like I'll still be able to achieve what I want to achieve. I'll achieve what I have. If I had listened to that doctor, I would have been not Michael Phelps, but I would have been swimming.
Exactly. Uh,
So it's just it's so important. To your point of people listening, like yes, mindset, and also our mind is powerful, but it can only be as powerful as the people around us let it be. So
yeah.
make sure before you go to a doctor. And that's why like people are so afraid to go to doctors now because they assume they're going to tell something negative or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my mother had cancer twice,
Mm,
and I remember the amount of doctors she had to go through to get like a positive doctor with actual direction. And she was the one that taught me like not taking what a doctor tells you as face value and like preparing
yeah.
yourself that going in.
Wow. That's incredible about your mom. And I would say the like tagline I would say with that is also to like be your own advocate. So for me as well, if I had
Yeah.
just listened to the first doctor that I went to, one, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys.
And because I was like, no, something's wrong. Like my intuition is telling me something is not right, that this isn't it, that I don't have asthma, right? There's something way more
Right.
here. And just like use your voice, right? Listen to your intuition, be your own advocate. And like you said, find people who are in your corner who, and like not every doctor is going to have a full on understanding of, the ins and outs of
Yeah.
bodybuilding, but to find someone who is like willing to listen. And I think that's really big for the coach athlete relationship as well, right? It is a partnership. The same is true for the doctor. And if somebody is like really of the belief that like I know everything, you got to do what I say, I think that's a bit of a red flag. And
Red
to be
flag,
like,
yeah.
because you're partnering, nobody knows your body better than you. And to be able to voice that and have somebody that's like willing to listen to you is huge, just because,
Yeah.
we only get one of these. We only get one in this
And,
lifetime.
and
So
I know G and Chris agree because they've both been through the same
mm,
similar tests and trials and tribulations. Um, G most recently with his second leg surgery. I mean, G, I remember you telling me just like the mindset of the doctor you had this year, and just I feel like that already led to a start of a great new process for you. Like even before surgery, he already felt better about it.
that's awesome, which is what
Yeah,
you want.
of course, because you want somebody who's confident in what they're saying, you know? They're not just telling you that they're gonna do something because it needs to be done and like this is all that we can do, but like more like reassurance that hey, we're gonna do this, but you're gonna come out better than you were, you know, and
Awesome.
that definitely gives you a sense of clarity. So
And
Yeah.
security,
And
yeah.
relief, right? And
See,
just reassurance.
seeing G walking on the treadmill again, like next to me and Chris the other day.
Oh,
Like I was
yeah,
thinking about it. I was like, this is just
without the
awesome
limp.
because he used to be limping around in pain and he'd be on the bike and it was like it clicked to me that I was like, wow, like G's been walking on the treadmill with us for the past week. Like this is new.
Yeah. When last year he wouldn't be doing that. He'll
Yeah.
be on the bike or whatever. So
wow.
it's definite progress.
Well, that's awesome. Visualize your speedy recovery.
Yeah.
But you see, I think you said this already twice, and it's a key point. It's about what you identify yourself as too. There's something there. Because if you know there's something wrong, you identify. I'm not gonna listen to what that doctor said. Let me go and get a double or triple or even a fourth option.
Yeah.
So
And
um
the only way to really come to that conclusion is like you've got to know yourself.
yes.
Like you've got to know yourself and be willing to spend time like knowing, why do I think the way I think? Why do I feel the way I feel?
You gotta sit
Spending
with your
that time.
emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
gotta sit with your
definitely.
emotions and face a lot of the pain and the hurt that other people try to avoid in order to be able to cancel out the noise.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. What would be one word to describe your journey this far?
I feel like I'll use a different word other than savage because that's my go-to word.
Oh, you savage. I think
Um,
that's a good word. That's a beautiful word.
I would say resilient. Resilient would be a good one. Um, legendary is another one.
Hey,
Resilient, resilient. I'll go with that one.
Resilient, yeah, of course, resonates, but legendary. Let's hear why legendary.
So, legendary. I am really lately of like trying to instill this belief in my clients as well as myself that you are the goat of your reality, right? There's only one of you. And so like everything that you do is like I'm using legendary in this sentence. I wouldn't have before, but it is legendary. Everything is happening for a reason. Um, and like I said, you only get one body, you get this one vessel. And I think that just the way that when I look back at my life and me as a child, I am such a different person than I was.
really shy kid. I was born 2 months premature. Like this version of me, this story, if I were to write it out into a book, it would make a really, really good one. And so that's why I would use the word legendary.
What would you tell your younger self before we
I would just say, like, again, everything is working in your favor. Everything is happening to you for a reason. And it's all for your highest good. And just to keep going,
That's
and
beautiful.
really believe in yourself because I think that version of me was like really small. She had a lot of self-doubt, a lot of negative self-talk as well. And that's what I would tell her. I would tell her to keep going. Like there's so much to look forward to.
I love that, hero in your own story mindset. And the way you describe it is not cocky in any way. It's just reality. Like I think it was Sebum or someone was talking about like you are, imagine your life as a documentary,
Mm,
right? How would you want to live your life? How do you want to handle your situations? How would you want other people to see you and how you treat people? Um, so it's so important. And I found in this bodybuilding world, like there's a huge divide, and sport enhances who you already are, right? Like if
yeah,
you're a positive person, you're a caring person, it's going to accentuate that. If you're a negative person, it's really going to pull that out of you, and then you compound it with drugs or whatever people are taking, and it takes it to even another level, which is why I've completely realigned the people I surround myself this year,
mm,
with like people like Chris and G, just because that just the sport itself is hard, right? Like, and
definitely.
you're no matter how brave we all are on this call and how good advice, like we're all gonna have times where we doubt ourselves or
Yeah.
we don't like what we see in the mirror or whatever it is, and you have to have the people that you trust so that you can just go into autopilot and just believe what they say and just keep moving forward.
Definitely. Because like what you consume, whether that's food or the people around you, their energy, your what you see on social media, like all of that impacts you and your thoughts and your feelings and
Yes.
everything. And just to like go back to like what would you tell your younger self? And what I would tell listeners is that like you don't need permission to show up fully. You don't need that approval. You don't need like permission from other people. You just need that purpose. And part of that is going to come with who you surround yourself with. So, like, if you show up with that authenticity, with that belief, with that excellence, and you come from like a really good heart place, you will attract that same sort of crowd. Like Alex, like much like you said with G and Chris, like I am now surrounding myself with these people who have an aligned vision with me. They're going to uplift me. The more that you can like stick to, again, like hold the vision. That's one of my phrases that I've said with my fiance. Hold the vision. If you can hold that, you'll see that the people who are not supportive of that, they will fall away. And just to be like confident and comfortable that I'm going to surround myself with those people who are going to uplift me. It makes such a difference. It makes a huge difference in the journey, right? Because like you said, bodybuilding can bring out very different aspects in people depending on
Yes.
on
Yeah, you look, you have
their
to be a
background.
savage. Sometimes you have to be a savage and just cut
Yeah,
people
that's
out.
right.
Don't be no apologies necessary for cutting people out that are negative, or you don't have to waste any
Disturbing your
more energy.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a clean break. I think that was some of that Chris has harped on for a very long time. And just, you know, we all go back and forth in our own group chat and we all agree on the same thing. We just describe it in a different way. So it's very
Yeah.
interesting. But Chris is big on forgiveness, for any negative energy, like forgive it, understand where it's coming from. Um, I'm a
Very
And
little bit
also
good.
more,
just seeing that the
yeah,
negative energy is just a reflection of themselves. Like you said, we're all
Yeah.
mirrors.
projection.
So
Right.
so I if you tell me something, it's up to me to be like, do I internalize that or do I just let it go? You know?
Yeah.
Because I know
That's
who I
so
am.
powerful. And that's challenging, right? That's
Yeah.
really challenging to do. It takes a lot of
Yeah.
awareness.
Yeah.
Megan, what's next for the Savage? Like besides, I mean, you're now an IFBB Pro. Well, this is a two-part question. What's next for you in bodybuilding, and then what's next for you in the future outside of bodybuilding that's next for you? I know there's gonna be something else. So,
I know, right? I am going to go into a bulking season. Well, I say bulk, I mean growing. Because, sometimes bulking makes you think that people are just going to be like fat for no reason. But
Yeah.
I'm going into a growing season, very excited about it. And I'm feeling very energized and motivated after that show. And so, but the next thing for me is actually next year I am getting married. So I'm very
Hey,
excited.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, that's next on my list. I've been like super zoned in on that show and I'm like, okay, I gotta do some wedding planning. I get to do some wedding planning. So that is like the next thing
Wait,
on
so
my
are
list.
you gonna be bulking like before the wedding dress
So
or
my plan is, so I've already bought the dress,
She's
luckily.
gonna be swole.
Um, you know what though? I think that I would get fitted in the fall. So I might be like, hey, I can't get fitted for this dress just yet. Um, so my plan is to compete again, like a year from now, basically. I'm giving myself a longer off season and then do my pro debut prior to my wedding so that I can enjoy my wedding
There you go. Then you reverse into your
and
wedding.
still be snatched for my wedding.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
where is the wedding gonna be held?
Spain. Gonna do
Oh,
it
No
in
way.
Spain.
I'm going in next month. I have a friend getting married in Costa Brava.
Oh,
So
really? Oh my gosh.
so
Um,
yeah,
Go ahead.
that's so whereabouts in Spain are you doing it? Or tying a knot?
It is in Masteron, so it is like southern Spain.
Oh, you practice that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
you said it's called Masteron?
Matheron.
Matheron. Oh, with
That's
a
how they say it with a
with a
Z. Yeah,
My
so I'm
my
excited.
my
I got to
dog
do a lot
wants
of. Oh,
she wants to
hey.
join. I don't know. She's feeling left out. Uh, um, and you said that's next summer.
Yeah, next summer.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
So I actually want to get your thoughts on traveling, like,
Hmm.
with bodybuilding and the restrictions that it has. Um, for me, it stresses me out so much. So I'm
Really?
trying to get better about that. Well, yeah, just because I go through my head of this is what I have to eat, where I'm going to find that food, and then so like you said you travel quite a bit. Like
Yes.
how do you prepare for that? How do you deal with traveling and the stresses that come with it?
So depending on where I'm going, so I'm a huge Marriott fan, and I will try to stay either like in Airbnbs or like a residence in someplace that has a kitchen. If not, I actually travel with a skillet. So I travel with an electric skillet that I can plug in, and I will like pack. So like for example, I just flew today, for example, and I'll bring some frozen food with me so I'm not like ravaging and scavenging as soon as I arrive, that I've got a couple of things with me. And I'm a big fan of grocery delivery and just like packing travel friendly things and like controlling what you can control. The other thing I would say is like you mentioned, you had that conversation right with the waiter. You can always ask for the things that you need. Like always ask, I need a grilled thing. I need it to be cooked in this and with no oils. Can I just have that and a vegetable? You can always ask for that if you're going out to eat. But I'm a huge fan of the travel skillet. And like I said, I unapologetically will bring my scale into restaurants and things like that. When you're traveling internationally, I would say that's definitely way more challenging. But in the US, you can definitely manage. And I think the more that you can be of the mindset that like this food is like nourishing me. I know this is like very woo woo and out there, but to be like, this is supporting me and this food is good for me. Everything is like in my favor. The more you can embody that mindset, because again, like if you're super stressed and being like shit, this isn't to the exact gram and this isn't going to fit, then you receive that food really differently and your body's going to process it very differently. And so like I mean I have my scale all the time, so like I get it because I'm super ridiculous and I'm on point. I just like to be that way, right? It's very gratifying for me to be like tracking my food. I like it. And some people are like, this is too much. And I'm like, I like it. It makes me feel like I am doing something other people aren't. Like, I feel like it's making me succeed.
Not to overplug G, but this goes back to having a good coach who also can work with you on ahead of time and like what you should do. It makes everything a lot calmer, more
Yeah.
relaxing, as opposed to a coach that I remember I had one coach who chewed me out because I didn't take food with me across the pond to England, even though I ate the same food over there. It was like on plan. It just I didn't travel with the
Mind
exact
you, this
same
is the
plan.
off season. Mind you,
And
this is the
this
off
is off
season too.
Oh,
season. So
yeah. Yeah.
whereas I tell G and prep about something, it's like, all right, fine, do this, that, like he let me have a cheat meal this weekend with my sister for graduation. And
Nice.
but I will
Yeah.
say I think it's really because G has us do meal plans, right? But he will
Hmm.
allow us to exchange things. That being said, I think it's important for athletes to start off with macros. And here's why. Like my first ever coach I did macros with. So it does allow you to eyeball foods better and understand like if you're in a crunch situation, even if you're on meal plan, like I know what this amount of rice looks like or this amount of
Yeah.
potato and it does because it's important because it's like almost like a fallback safe of like okay, if I can't get the exact same meal, I can still fit what I need. Whereas if someone's on a meal plan and then they go off the meal plan, they have no idea how to fulfill that. It's just something I noticed recently, but I know G's a big proponent on meal plans. He likes to control the variables, and that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense, especially when you're a few years into the sport and you're really trying to make that like next step.
Yeah, I would agree with you that like your meals slash macros, it's a skill. Like you're developing a skill. And so for people who are totally new, for them to one recognize like how much food am I actually eating? How much is an actual serving of peanut butter? Because that's really humbling. Um,
Yes.
so like to know what that is, I think is really useful. And I think the more like you said, the more advanced you are when you're on a meal plan, for example, you're able to make swaps pretty effortlessly. And so I would be in agreement with you that I think that the macros is the way to go. I totally understand why like you would be on a meal plan because when you, especially in the bodybuilding space, right, when you have macros as the guideline, you're obviously going to choose things that you really like
I could fit a I
Well,
could fit an
and make
Oreo
them
into my
fit.
well,
macros.
well,
Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna
I
fit.
was not that way. So I always made sure I ate like the same kind of stuff. Like obviously
Yeah.
a croissant is not the same as rice for carbs, right?
Right.
Like that's just not. So like I know for like GR meal plan, like it's whether it's rice, potato, or pasta. The only challenge is like we actually had this conversation the other day. The pasta is a slightly different carb complex than the potato, right? So you have to adjust it because the rice and the pasta are a little bit more similar than potatoes. So, gee, I don't know if you want to talk about your process a little bit, but I probably annoyed you. 'Cause I'm a big question. I ask a lot of questions because for me, like I'm so OCD and type A that by asking questions, I feel like I control the situation better and it makes me feel more calm. But I almost feel bad because I know, gee, I had to pepper him with so many questions. He's probably like, dude, just relax. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I just like giving the athlete flexibility. Depending also if they're where are we? Are you a lifestyle client? Are you a competitive client? Are we bulking? Are we like deep into a prep? But usually before we even get into the competition prep, like I in that off season, like I do like to maintain some kind of structure.
Hmm.
Like you're still eating the same foods, or we're at least testing certain foods to see how your body responds to
Yeah.
certain things, and like whether you have gastro distress or digestive issues. And then on the weekend, obviously if they're on prep or whatever the case may be, if we add in a cheat meal, we say what we're gonna have. We're not just like gonna go eat blindly, and go hit the all you can eat buffet. So it's more, like hey, let's eat this, and then the next day check in. Let's see how your body responds, your digestion.
Yeah.
We'll know if it works for the next time. We may need to do it a couple times to see how it really works. But as long as the athlete or the individual is consistent, you can kind of see how the body is changing on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely.
Like as long as they're controlling all of the variables, it's very easy to adjust, accordingly.
Yeah, and I would say like you said that the body likes predictability and
Yes.
to be able to be and it's so much easier, right? If you're batch prepping stuff and
Yes.
eating the same stuff over and over again, so whether you're doing macros or a meal plan, to hit that consistently if you're eating the same thing over and
And
over
it's
again.
finding foods that you enjoy too, like I'm not gonna have Alex eat, fish and vegetables every day if he doesn't enjoy fish and vegetables.
Right.
Like I think, some people can get away with eating, leaner pieces of meat,
hmm
or, like having certain, carbs and things like because you want to be able to sustain the plan for a periods of time. You don't want to be thinking to yourself like, oh, I'm doing a diet. You want to treat it like a
Right.
lifestyle, and it becomes like habits that you create on a daily basis. Okay, now I'm eating my oats. The next meal's rice. The next meal's potatoes, and you enjoy what you're eating, and then, you do it nonchalant at that point, and
Yeah,
it becomes a routine.
definitely.
Yeah.
So
I would say like for that, like the redundancy, if you change the way that you cook it, so like you grill it this time, then you roast it the next time, you air fry it this time, bake it next time. That can help with like the like food boredom that might
space.
happen, or just
Yeah.
changing up and rotating seasonings. Then it's like it's just so easy to succeed like that.
Of course.
And but I think like for you, G, for your athletes, right? That's so useful for you to know, especially going in the weeks before stage. Like, how is this food impacting you? Are you having any sort of digestive stress from it? Because like
Yeah.
as prep goes on, right, your digestion changes. Sometimes like you could
Yeah.
eat egg whites at the beginning of prep, you can't now, right? It's just something happens and your body doesn't like it at that time, or maybe you look more flat when you eat this. Like that's so useful for you. So I could totally understand like yeah, having some sort of control over what someone's eating is can make a big
Yeah.
difference on stage.
And she's not a big burger on show day guy. I know we talked about this, but she what it like can you talk a bit about the divide between there's coaches that will give someone like I mean, I know I used to do the typical Five Guys burger, no cheese or anything, but like I guess the argument is if you have a little bit of grease, you want a little bit of that fat to help you pop a little more. G, I think it sounds like he's a little bit more of the controlled uh refeed or the controlled carb up. Gee, what how do you handle like making sure your athletes are popping on stage without going to like the extremes?
Mm.
Yeah, well, so that goes back to what we were speaking about as far as like testing the foods prior to the prep
Right.
in the off season, doing these things like even as far as like if you were to have a burger on the weekend, we're having the burger, we're seeing how his body responds. Usually, I don't like to throw those kinds of things. It's case to case, depending on the individual and how their metabolism is. But I don't like using things like that because I feel like the burger or like people do like IHOP and these different kinds of crazy peaks is you're just kind of just throwing something in there and just hoping that it works. And like the next day you just wake up to some crazy miracle. And it doesn't, like 9 times, like for me, it's worked before, but then a lot of times it hasn't worked. So, I went to an approach where, maybe like the day before, or like 2 days before, maybe having something a little bit more heavier and then being able to dry it out. And the day of just sticking more to like cleaner foods that you're already used to, or the day before cleaner foods, higher carb, for the day before. But I feel like if you just keep the same foods that you've been having for, you know, 16, 20 weeks or however you're long on prep, like your body's not going to have any
Yeah.
issues like come show day, and I think that's the most important thing because a lot of people they try to throw everything in at the end, just
Hail
just
Mary.
yeah,
That's
yeah, the
it.
Hail
That's
Mary.
all it
That's
is
what
is
they
a
do.
Hail Mary.
Whether it's the food or the PEDs or the extreme cardio or it's I think being ready ahead of time is the idea. And this is something I'm instilling on myself this year. I've been working out. I've been competing since 2018, and this is
Mm.
2025, right? But I realized in order for me to go pro, I have to start doing things at a pro level, like on myself before I tell my athlete to do it. So I'm with them now. I'm learning their bodies ahead of time, and now they're entering prep at the best that they've ever been. Like starting the prep weight wise, physique wise, instead of being like a lot of people are like 30, 40 pounds above, and then they gotta like
Yeah.
do all these extreme methods just to get all the weight off, and they end up putting so much stress on their body and causing all these health issues. And I like to do things more from a longevity perspective. So I'm thinking of the athlete, as myself. I wouldn't want him to do anything that I've never done myself, personally. So,
I
It's
love
crazy.
that.
Like I remember I dropped 43 pounds my last prep, which was crazy. And that was when I was fully natural. Um, and that was just too much.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I'm at 5 low days of 1,800 calories, whereas 5 days out of the last show was at 1,300 calories. And G's argument is like, yes, right now it's very, very low, but first of all, he staggered it. It wasn't like an immediate drop, but his argument is now he's going to be able to have more time to give me more food later on. So it's like, when do you want to have that pain? And now it's like risking um having your body eat itself a little bit early on, and you save time to like give your body the treatment it needs to get look good on stage, which is gives us more time because he might say, oh, maybe we went down a little bit too low and now we can have more time to adjust or whatever. Whereas last time, same thing with food, right? It's a bit of a crapshoot. It's like, okay, well, you're gonna dip it down all the way at the very end, but what if you don't have enough time to fill back up, right? So it's definitely a different way of approach, and I think it's getting a little more popular now. You see more pros talking about, I don't want to get above 15, 20 pounds above stage weight.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a bit more of the norm now. But Chris is the closest to show day, as you could probably see. He has the least energy. But how you feeling, man? How you feeling?
Like 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
But to G's point, I may have low energy now, but I know the food's coming. He already told me the game plan. So I had to sacrifice the first 12 or 11 weeks, however long I've been on prep, to make it to this point to be ready ahead of time. I think is the best way to do it, because you don't have to then throw those Hail Marys and hope that
Yeah.
it works. And I don't like leaving anything to chance. Because in order to visualize like me being in the overall or me getting the pro card this year, I have to see myself in that position. And if
Yeah.
we're just like scrambling everything together and trying to, do whatever, then you're gonna be living in chaos,
Both G
you
and
know?
Chris have grown so much in the past year. Like G would talk like how he's acting like a pro before he's gonna be a pro, and Chris, like, his mindset is completely shifted. The confidence he has, the attention to detail he has. So I'm really excited to see what Chris is gonna bring to Chiseled and then Universe, because it's gonna be a movie. It's gonna be a movie. I think Chris has one of the best backs in the NPC down here in Florida. Like, honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like your back is already pro, and his
That
front
means
is
a lot.
and now his front's catching up. So it's scary.
That
That's
means a lot, man.
awesome. I
That means a
love
Yeah,
lot.
that.
but so Megan, you do anything fun with your pro card? Did you set it up nicely in your room, or like what's the?
So I w went from Pittsburgh and then I had to go to Massachusetts because I'm in the Army Reserve. So I went from there to there and I just flew back today. So I haven't done anything cool with it yet. I've been just traveling with it. However, people in the airport were like, because I have the trophy, everybody was like, my fiance was carrying it and they were like, "What'd you do?" And he's like, "I didn't do anything. It's her trophy."
I'm just
So
carrying
that
the
was cool.
trophy.
Yeah, I'm carrying the trophy and all her bags. So
That's
I
what a
haven't
good
done
supporter
anything
is supposed to
yet.
do though. They're
Yeah.
supposed to like carry that burden for you.
He's the best. He is the best. He's the best supporter. I'm very, very blessed. And I mean, as we chatted about before, who's in your corner really matters. And
Yes.
it allows you to, it takes, like I'm sure your partners, if you have partners, it takes a really understanding person, especially in bodybuilding, because it's so diligent, right? It makes date night challenging. It makes your energy is wavering at different points, right? It takes a really understanding person who can be there, still be your cheerleader, be understanding, there for the highs and lows. And I'm really, really grateful to say that mine is the best. He's the best.
Where do you where do
That's
you meet?
beautiful.
So he did skeleton as well. So he's
Oh, there you go.
British.
He's British. He competed for Great Britain. I competed for Team
Oh.
USA, and
Oh
so we
well,
met.
so I guess he and I are closer friends than you and me then.
Yeah, yeah. I know. That's so crazy that you
Yeah.
competed. That's
Yeah.
wild. Um, so yeah, so he's super. He's gone. So he didn't go to the Caribbean, and so I didn't get my pro card there, obviously. So I'm like, well, now you have to come to every show
Yeah, that's good
because
every show.
Is
every
the good
time
luck
you're there, I
charm.
win.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
Megan, it's been a pleasure having you on the pod. I think we covered so much and we could talk to you for a week, I think.
I'll
So
come back for round two anytime you
no,
want.
no, we will absolutely we're gonna be doing this in seasons. So maybe in season two you come back on, give us some updates on how things are going, maybe before the wedding or after the wedding.
For
Um,
sure.
but obviously there's just so much to your story that we're excited to share. Um, so any last thoughts, guys? Any closing remarks or last questions?
Not Megan, thank you. I mean, I never talked to an Olympic, bronze medalist or medalist itself. So it's really an honor, and knowing that you're a veteran too, you served the country. I was prior military as well. I was in the
Oh,
army,
thank you. Oh, thank
and
you. Nice. Oh,
yeah,
me too.
so it's dope just interacting with, someone that just doesn't identify as a bodybuilder.
Thank
So
you.
And your story is of overcoming what you had in 2012 is very inspiring as well.
Thank you. This is awesome. Very fun. I learned also from all of you. So,
We're gonna take a quick pick for the gram.
okay.
Nice. Um, yeah, no, we'll absolutely have you back on for sure. It's been a pleasure. Where are you in Florida again?
Pompano Beach.
Oh,
Oh,
you're right
okay.
down the street.
Oh, you're right down the street.
Really?
We're in Lauderdale. Do you ever train?
I'm in commercial, but yeah, not too far.
Do you ever train at LHP
Lauderdale.
300, Lighthouse Point?
Um, I don't train there, but that's a story for another time.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay, okay, yeah, well,
yeah.
Scratch it, edit it
yeah,
out.
yeah, 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 yeah.
We'll get together. We'll start a group chat. But we're all really close, so that's actually great.
That's so cool.
We
Oh my God.
our home gym, our main gym is Fitness System. It's owned by
Okay.
John Del Rosa, who's an Olympian. That's
Yeah.
in Sunrise Plantation area.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
You'll have to come
Awesome.
check it out one day since you're local.
I know.
yeah,
So we'll definitely touch
Yeah,
base.
we'll definitely
It,
check.
we'll
it would
get some.
be dope. It would
Yeah,
be dope to have Erica and Megan train maybe because we just
true.
have a natural
She's
fit
in women's physique.
Yeah,
Oh,
physique.
really? Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah. Women's physique. Yeah.
That's
Oh wait, you do
awesome.
you do figure.
Yeah,
figure.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay, my
so
bad.
she's a little more buff than me.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. We'll collab. We'll get some content. It'll be fun.
Yes.
I'm so down.
Thank you, Megan.
All right,
All
All right,
guys.
right.
It's
See you
Megan,
been
guys.
take it
fun.
Thank
easy.
you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.